All right, Spurs Nation. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Saw that I just dropped the ball on that one. Was on mute again. I do that about what, twice a week or something? I don't know. Anyways, so Spurs Nation, I hope you're having a great day. My wonderful international amigos of Spurs Nation. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday. Just want to let you guys know that we do have a couple things to talk about today. We're going to talk about Becky Hammon and the different teams out there that are interested in her. Are they a good fit? Maybe, maybe not. We're going to talk about it. DeJounte Murray, we're going to talk about him doing one of the coolest things that anyone's ever done, any Spurs player's ever done there in San Antonio. And then we're going to talk about Kelly Oubre Jr. Apparently, the Spurs are interested in acquiring him this offseason amongst other teams. So before we get into the show, thank you for joining us. Had a little technical hiccup there in the beginning. I got to learn, right? I should have learned by now to unmute, right? But before we get into the show, just go Spurs go. Hope you guys are doing okay out there, having a wonderful Monday. We do have some summer goals here. I'm going to start right here. Again, these summer goals are from now until August 7th. We're trying to get to 2,000 YouTube subscribers by then. We're about 500 away. We've gained about 120 in the past month. So, really going for it here. Really appreciate you guys. Those of you guys that are subscribing, those of y'all that are new subscribers that have just subscribed to the channel, or you've been subscribed since day one. Thank you guys for subscribing to this channel. Also, we have a second goal, and that's to try to get 200 Patreon members by August 7th. Now, we already got our first Patreon member the other day, so we're going to give them a shout out at the end of the show. But I have some exciting news. I have some exciting news for our Patreon members. So those of y'all that are not the Patreon members, let me tell you about this, and then maybe you want to go ahead and click that link in the description below. But when you become a member, first off, if you're one of the first 100 members on the Patreon, I'm going to hit you up in the Patreon. You're going to receive a random Spurs gift in the mail. I'm going to link up with you, get your shipping info, and then I'm going to send you a little thank you from Spurs Film Room. But what I have been working on behind the scenes for a week now or 2 weeks now is I've been talking to a local artist from my area, and that's Valley Artist 66, right? His name is JJ Bailly. But in my area, he does some dope work around the valley, the Rio Grande Valley. And, he's agreed, and we've been talking over the past few days, and I've been letting him know that I've been wanting to do something special for my Patreon members. So what we've been talking about is I'm getting him to do an original Spurs painting for the Patreon members of Spurs Film Room. Again, if you want to join the Patreon, go down in the link in the description below, and it'll take you to the Patreon page. Now, if you look at this landing page that you're going to land on when you click that link, I have a couple levels here that you guys can choose to support this channel and then get the perks that Spurs Film Room has to offer. And then from now on in the future, you'll be getting more perks. But if you look at the far left side, $5 per month, you get an automatic giveaway entry, right? Doesn't matter which level you're on supporting this channel. If you're supporting this channel, you are going to get a automatic entry to win an original painting by Valley Artist 66. That's JJ Bailly, local artist in my area. I'm going to have him do a Spurs original for us. He's going to be sending me pictures. I'm going to be letting you guys know what it looks like as soon as I get it. So I'm very excited to provide, this type of giveaway to my Patreon members, and looking to do this every few months. I'll be linking up with Valley Artist 66 to do something for my Patreon members. So very excited by that. Go check him out on his Instagram. When you pull him up, let me just show you some of his work too as well. There we go. I'm going to pull up his Instagram page. You can see some of his style here. These are just some of the work that he's done around town, and some of his work on Instagram, right? It's not all of it, but what I want to show you is this. He did up our local Boys and Girls Club. He went nuts in there. Let me go ahead and show you this.
And I grew up with Boys and Girls Club. They did it. They changed. They also pushed me to do art. I would draw and I would show them. And there was a lady named Dalia that used to work there too, and she's like the best. I'm sure I don't know if she's still there, but Mary also. She's now the manager at Boys and Girls Club, like of the Westico location. I would go there after school. I would stay there a long time until my parents would pick me up. So that was from middle school. And I was like, hey, I would love to do a mural for you guys, Boys and Girls Club. Like, I'll do it. Like, just let me know.
All right, so go ahead and check out his Instagram over here and look at all of his work. I'm very excited that we're partnering up with him to not just this one time, but throughout the future, throughout my Patreon, I'm gonna be doing giveaways for my Patreon members. He's gonna be doing an original painting for the Spurs. I already kind of gave him the mock-up, and maybe even I'll have some opportunities for my Patreon members to actually vote on what they want their painting to be. Right. So, there are a lot of opportunities there for my Patreons in the future. So just letting you guys know that if you want to sign up to become a Patreon, you get a lot of perks when you do that, a lot of access, behind the scenes access, and kind of like you gain a little bit control of the channel, and you get to participate. You get to drop questions and comments that I'll turn into their own videos. They can be via email or voicemail or videograms. There's a lot of different things you can get by joining and becoming a member of the Patreon team. If you want to get some screen time during this show live, all you got to do is go to the tip jar link in the description below, or use the super chat feature on YouTube, and I will go ahead and put your comment or question on screen live. If you want to go ahead and shop some official Spurs gear, head over to Rally House and Fanatics and check out the links in the description there. It'll take you right to the Spurs shop on their websites, and check out all the cool Spurs merch that you can find there. Also, if you're looking to get tickets to an upcoming sporting event, NFL game, concert, whatever, check the ticketdistributors.com link in the description below as well. All that being said, let's get into the show.
Hey, isn't we supposed to be having a fiesta?
All right, Spurs Nation, I hope you're having a wonderful day. If you like Spurs basketball breakdowns, if you'd like to come on here and talk Spurs basketball, I try to come on here 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and go over the latest Spurs news out there, what's trending in the world. To hop on here and we get to discuss it a little bit. So one of the main topics that I've been, seeing all over the place is about our assistant coach, Becky Hammon, right? So Becky Hammon has been in the running maybe for a few years now to get a head coaching interview, and then now she's maybe being taken a little bit more seriously as an actual candidate. We all seen the progression of Becky Hammon in San Antonio. Let me tell you what, I love Becky Hammon. I love what she's been able to do with this program. I think her and the Spurs were a match made in heaven. Her and this organization, she got the opportunity to just join the staff and show up to a practice or a training camp just to show up and learn. And then like the next year or two, whatever, she became a coach. So she's been kind of in this, obviously she played for the Silver Stars when they were around. So Becky Hammon, man, I support any team, any notion of her joining its NBA team. And I think she would be a great coach. She's a great strategist. She's a great motivator. She knows the game. She's smart. Coaches around the league take her seriously. They know she's for real, right? So Becky Hammon, I looked up the article that was probably most recent that I can find, and I went ahead and found this one right here by CBS Sports. Becky Hammon. Let's go ahead and scroll down here. It's written by Jack Maloney. So shout out to Jack Maloney, CBS Sports. Thank you for the article, my man. If we scroll down here, let's restart from the second paragraph. She may be running a team herself. The coach is in line to interview for vacant positions with the Portland Trail Blazers. I think another former Spur, Brent Barry, is being interviewed for that position as well. The Orlando Magic, according to Shams Sharana of The Athletic. All right. And then we also know about her and Boston, and the Boston Celtics are reportedly interested in acquiring Becky Hammon to become their head coach. So one thing I want to know right off the bat is, Spurs Nation, what do you think about this? Spurs Nation, do you feel like Becky Hammon, one, is ready to go ahead and become a head coach? How do you feel about that? And then two, which of these teams out there that she's interviewing with this year, again, she's had interviews before, if I'm not mistaken. So out of these teams this year, are there any out there that you would think is a good fit for Becky? Because I'm pretty sure that everyone out here in Spurs Nation wants to see Becky succeed. I think we all want to see Becky. I think most of Spurs Nation wanted to see Becky take the reins here in San Antonio. Why is that ruled out of the equation, right? We all know that Pop, I wouldn't. There was a lot of speculation at the end of the season that Pop might be done this year. I'm pretty sure most of Spurs Nation want Becky to take his seat if that happens, but I kind of have a feeling that that's not the case. I think Pop has a lot of coaching left in him, and I think this year was a grind for everybody involved, but I think Pop isn't done yet. I mean, I could be wrong. Again, that's just a gut feeling for me, but if he is, I wouldn't mind Becky Hammon stepping into that spot. Now, out of the other teams like Orlando, other teams like Portland, Boston. Let's start with Boston. Boston is very adamant, I'm talking about the city, about giving her an opportunity to coach this team. I don't really think it's the best fit. I'll tell you what, Boston is a great team, a great organization. Brad Stevens running the show would give her, I'm sure, all the support and encouragement and backing that she would need to be successful there as a coach, because they already have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and everybody wants to be a Celtic. Like, if you're a free agent, they can put a team around Becky Hammon and what she wants to do as a coach for her to be successful there, right? So I think more of the team, the perks of being, in Boston would give her an opportunity to be successful there. But let's talk about Portland now. Portland, I would stay away from Portland. If I'm a coach that doesn't want to get in a hot seat, like whenever there's like a transition period for a team and they get a new coach and then like the best player leaves or whatever, now that coach is stuck with the job that he wasn't there for. He was there to coach LeBron James or to coach this and that, this, big name player, and then that player leaves and now they're like, what, right? I mean, the Houston coach, right? The Houston Rocket coach this past year, he was there all intentions to coach James Harden and Russell Westbrook at the beginning of the season. How much did that change, right? And how much was that on, how much? I think everyone gave him a lot of credit for dealing with it, but you don't want to be that guy, right? I mean, so if this is like you're going to be your first head coach opportunity, I think you want to be around an area, a team that is in the right stage for you. Right. So I'll tell you what, I wouldn't rule out her taking this Orlando Magic job seriously. I wouldn't rule out her looking at the Orlando Magic, saying they got a lot of young pieces. They have draft picks coming up. They are in a spot to rebuild and build something from the ground up. And that can be a great selling point to Becky Hammon if I'm the Orlando Magic. I'm looking at Becky saying, hey, Becky, you spent a lot of time in the G League. You spent a lot of time making like second round players and late first round players into studs, right? Like Becky had a huge part in the development of all of our young guys. We got to understand that, Spurs Nation, that she has been hands on. Derek White, DeJounte, Lonnie Walker, Keldon, Spoon, Quindary, formerly with the Spurs. So she is very familiar with the development side. I would say more than most, because every time a coach from San Antonio G League club, the Austin Spurs, gets an opportunity with Austin, it's not soon thereafter where they get like another a head assistant or head coach opportunity later down the line. Quinn Snyder, the coach from the Grizzlies, right? All these guys are former Austin G League coaches. They went there, they learned the culture, they learned what's up, and then they got the opportunity for themselves to go ahead and try to run that show themselves. And they've been successful at it, right? And we all know about the coaching tree for the Spurs and Pop. It would be just like that for Becky. But I think Orlando, having Becky in the driver's seat of saying, hey, this is where we're going from here, and she's going to be involved from the ground up, I like that. I like that idea for Becky, because she is a great motivator. She won a G League championship. She's coached the summer league a few times. And she's climbed the ranks in the Spurs organization. I mean, so, Pop trusts her. She's the first one off the bench to go talk to Pop about X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. Then you got Will Hardy and some of these other guys. So, Becky leaving San Antonio would be a little bit bittersweet, because, I think most of Spurs Nation want her around for as long as we can, and maybe even take the reins from Pop when the time comes. But I would go on and say that, hey, if you're a coach, it doesn't work this way. You can't just be like, okay, no, I'm going to wait for San Antonio to open up and for Greg Popovich to retire, and then maybe I can become the coach of this franchise. That's not very secure as a job, unless Becky Hammon has like walked into this job and like this opportunity like years ago, saying that I'm going to coach under Pop for as long as I can. And she is like not even thinking about it, but I wouldn't say that's the case, right? She's taking interviews. She's going to interview with some teams. So, I mean, good for Becky for taking the interviews. And I do hope she gets the job offer, you know what I mean, by one of these teams. I think Orlando's a great pick. If I was her, I would stay away from Portland. And Boston's interesting. And she would be going into a great situation, right? Brand new GM, a GM that really wants her, right? And like is looking to shake things up with her in play. And she would walk into a team that has a rising superstar, right? Orlando doesn't have that. They don't have a rising superstar. They got a lot of good young players. That's about it. But where's the best fit for Becky? You guys tell me. Is it in Boston? Is it in Portland? Is it in Orlando? Or is it in San Antonio? You guys let me know in the comments below. All right. I want to know what you guys think, what Spurs Nation's pulse on the whole matter is. So, all right, guys. So that's the first topic for today. Wish Becky nothing but the best in these interviews. I actually got to hear Becky speak when I was coaching a few years back, went to Las Vegas and got to hear her talk about the offensive like drills and philosophy behind their offense. This was back in 2016, I believe. So I got to hear Becky speak. That was pretty cool. So shout out to Becky Hammon. All right, guys. So when we come back, the next topic of the day that we're going to talk about is Kelly Oubre. All right. So right when we get back.
Hey, isn't we supposed to be having a fiesta?
Alrighty, so according to, I got this article off of Pounding the Rock from SB Nation by Marilyn Debunsky. The rumor mill, Spurs are among teams interested in Kelly Olynyk Jr. Now, this was originally tweeted out. I don't know if it was tweeted, but it was definitely by Vincent Goodwell of Yahoo Sports, who reported it. It said, according to league sources, Miami, San Antonio, and New York are among the teams interested in Oubre in free agency. It is easy to see him at his best fitting into those places. Now, let me tell you why it's easy to see Kelly Oubre Jr. fitting into one of these three teams. Because we all play defense. We're all hard-nosed teams, and we don't take no crap. And you know what? Kelly Oubre is one of those guys who's a tough-nosed guy and is going to go in there and work, right? So he's just one of these tough, gritty-nosed dudes who we know what he's about. He's going to bring some attitude to the table. He's going to bring some toughness. His shooting it's not quite, there to say he's one of the elite shooters, but he will get you backdoor. He will catch you slipping. He is always going to look to punch first. He's one of those guys. So Miami loves those guys. New York, Tom Thibodeau loves those guys. I talk a lot about Tom Thibodeau, and I love what he's done in New York. And the San Antonio Spurs are like that too. So I remember last offseason, he was on my radar. Or was it last offseason, he was on my radar. And there was two players that I wanted to really try to get that offseason. That was Jeremy Grant, who was on Denver at the time, now is in Detroit, and Kelly Oubre Jr. I was like, man, if the Spurs can get Jeremy Grant, and this was before he had his playoff run with Denver and the bubble and all that stuff, and he blew up and actually made a name for himself, got a pretty good contract from Detroit. Before all that, man, I wanted Jeremy Grant and wanted Kelly Oubre Jr. on the squad. So I would not be mad if the Spurs went out to look at Kelly. He brings everything to the table that I think this young group already kind of molds themselves around, and that's tough, gritty, going to put our head down and work, trust the process, have each other's back. We're one of those teams. And he played with Golden State this past year, right? So he got to learn a lot from Steve Kerr and how that offensive system works, and he was actually a part of it and try to help that system. And he played with a guy like Steph Curry. So when you're a guy who plays with a superstar like Steph Curry, you're going to pick up some habits, some workout habits, some routine habits on how to be a player at that level. Now, I'm not saying Kelly Oubre is going to get to Steph Curry's level one day, but I just really like the idea of him coming to us from there, from Golden State, So I think we still need to be adding shooters. I've been talking about this now for like a few weeks now. Like if I'm in free agency, I'm looking to acquire as many shooters as possible, right? That's my main like acquisition with the money that we do have. But Kelly Oubre Jr. in the rotation, like let's say Rudy Gay and Patty Mills are not returning, and there's a couple spots there for minutes. Having Kelly Oubre as part of that rotation, I like it. So Spurs Nation, first off, let me know what you guys think about this possible scenario. First off, we got a tip here. Appreciate the tip, Mark. Goes a long way helping this channel. I really do appreciate it. Pop will retire when he officially has the most wins of any NBA coach, and will probably be after 2 years. Now that's a good point. That's a really good point, Mark. Every time the conversation comes up about Coach Popovich retiring, I always go back and I look at I remember the graphics, and I remember like that's probably what you're talking about. Like there's always like these graphics of like most wins and most this and that, and Pop is always like third. He's like some of them he's not quite there yet. He's always like behind Don Nelson, or I forget the other coach, but they're always up there in like the most win column. So I would agree with you in saying that, hey man, Pop. I mean, let's look at some of the guys that he looked up to. Don Nelson, Jerry Sloan. Those guys coached for a long time. They were old. Dude, Hubie Brown is calling games again, and that was like a little weird at first because he's getting super old, but man, as soon as the game started, Hubie Brown started going on wax about whatever game it was. But Hubie was another one of those guys that coached for a long time. Larry Brown coached for a long time. Not just Hubie Brown, but Larry Brown. A lot of these guys from like Pop's generation, guys that he looked up to. So Pop, I mean, he's alive and kicking, right? I mean, I think that I'm sure like the grind has gotten to him, but I don't see him leaving this organization anytime soon, Mark, as well. And if he's like a year or two away from breaking records, it's kind of like the LeBron thing. I think LeBron is going to stay and play as long as he can to try to climb as many record boards as he can. Like he'll probably end up having like 2 seasons or 3 seasons where he's just like, imagine LeBron like as one of those like veterans that you add to a championship team, like like not the guy that's running that team, but one of those key dudes that you add to a team. Imagine like 5-6 years from now when LeBron's like maybe that guy. I think he'll still be around if he's like chasing Kareem's all-time record and stuff like that. So I think there's some weight to this, Mark. I really appreciate the tip. Thank you for dropping it in there. Really appreciate that. All right, guys. So when we come back, let's talk about DeJounte Murray and just how much of a cool dude this guy is, man. All right, so when we get right back.
Hey, isn't we supposed to be having a fiesta?
All right, so shout out to Twitter handle. I want to get her Twitter handle right, but at Mona20138, and that's Monique Dillard. I don't know if you guys were keeping tabs of this, but it all started with a tweet, right? Decisions at the Spurs shop, and debating to either get 1 DeJounte Murray jersey or 2. If I ever met him and get him to sign my jersey, I won't want to wear it anymore. So guess what happened, dude? So DeJounte Murray actually saw this tweet and replied back too. So DeJounte Murray replies back, says, "Where you at? I will come meet you and sign it." And he did, bro. DeJounte Murray went and met her up. And look, I'm a San Antonio guy. If I'm looking at the picture right here, I would say that is at the Rim or at La Cantera Mall, right? Because that's where the Spurs shop is over there and in San Antonio, right? So, dude, man, DeJounte actually goes out, meets Monique, and signs her jersey, man. That is so cool. This guy is just the best, man, dude. DeJounte Murray, if he couldn't even like get any more points in Spurs Nation's heart, like, we love this guy, and we thought that, you know, what else could he do to win over our hearts of Spurs Nation, right? So that was just a really cool thing that he did this past weekend or a few days ago. So let me know what you guys think about that. First off, what you guys think about DeJounte Murray and how cool that was. All right, guys. So today I'm gonna kind of talk about my day a little bit before we do a little bit of a sign off. Man, shout out to all you parents out there. I know most of my demographic are like, you guys are a little bit younger, but shout out to the parents. Like today, my wife and I just took our son to go get his first shots, his vaccinations. And man, this is like a whole day, right? Because they go through things, and it's just tough seeing your newborn, your infant, you know, get some shots and everything they go through after that. So it's just tough. So shout out to you, Spurs Nation, if you're watching this and you're a parent out there. All right, guys. So before I let you guys go, I want you to let you know that on Wednesday, I am going to have guest Rudy Campos Jr. from Sweep the League and the Sports Dime radio show on 930 AFM San Antonio on the show with me Wednesday around 8:30. I believe is going to be the time we're going to go on. We're going to hang out. I'll be talking to Rudy about just, you know, what he's got going on, about what's going on. What, you know, he actually interviewed Bill Land and Sean Elliott over the past month. And let me tell you what, man, Bill Land and Sean Elliott, those are the Spurs Nation. We got some of the best commentators that do this here in San Antonio. These two guys are awesome. Dan Weiss are awesome too. So we love these two guys here in our household, my wife and I. So on Wednesday, I'm going to be talking to Rudy Campos Jr. Hang out with us there. Also want to let you guys know that Friday, I know that Fridays have been kind of hard. It's been kind of hard for me to get to the computer and to the live stream to actually do a show for you guys on Fridays. So I actually have a new show coming out with you guys that I'm recording, and it will be airing on Friday. And that's a new show for Spurs Film Room. And that's going to be called Till Spurs Do Us Part, right? And that's with co-host, my lovely wife, my rock, Alma Linda Trejo, right? So we have a show. We're going to come on here. We're going to talk some Spurs basketball. It's going to be called Some Spurs Do Us Part. And we're going to talk about how the grind of the season was and and all that. So that's just a little teaser there. Stay tuned Friday for that new show. All right, guys. So just to let you know again, and when you become a Patreon member and support this show, you help us reach our goals. You guys are going to get a giveaway in the mail. I'm going to hit you guys up and send you a Spurs gift, a thank you gift. And also, you get an automatic entry to win a original Spurs painting from Valley Artist 66. All right, I've been talking to him. We're going to collaborate on a painting, and I'm going to be giving it away exclusively to my Patreon members. So shout out to you're my Patreon members. Right now, we got our first member a few days ago. So here we go. Here's a shout out to Frenchie Betts. You guys probably seen them in the chat room. They've been hanging out plenty over the past few weeks. They went ahead and got the first spot of the first 100 people that are going to be signing up for the Patreon. So right now, if no one else signs up for the Patreon, Frenchie Betts, guess what? You're going to get an original Spurs painting by Valley Artist 66. All the other members that sign up by August 7th will be put on a spinning wheel. We'll do it live, or for my Patreon members on my Patreon, and I'll be doing a giveaway there for you guys. So make sure that you tune in if you want to win this painting by Valley Artist 66. Again, check out his Instagram. A lot of cool stuff. Look at his artwork. If you like it, think about becoming a member, because I'm going to be hitting him up every few months to do a special painting for my members of the Patreon. All right. So when you click on that link below, it'll take you to the landing page. You can check out all the perks that each level gets. Each level, you get a little bit more access, a little bit more behind the scenes, building a community. You're going to get a Discord chat thing access. You're going to get some bonus content. You're going to vote on stuff. You can send in questions and all types of stuff. Anyway, so check that out. You really do support the show. You're the backbone of what we do, the Patreon members. Thank you guys so much. Again, if you're watching this video, please subscribe to this channel. If you haven't subscribed to it yet, smash that like button. Chant Go Spurs Go when you do. Check out the links in the description below for Fanatics and Rally House. You guys can go ahead and shop Spurs official Spurs gear. And when you shop, when you click the link in the description, it lets them know that Spurs Film Room sent you, and you get to do me a solid by doing that. Also, if you're looking for tickets to a upcoming sporting event and concert, same goes for that. All right. So again, if you want to get on your question and comment talked about on screen, just like the way Mark did on today's show, go ahead and look for the tip jar link in the description below. And it'll take you to the landing page that looks just like this. And you can go ahead and type your question here where it says tip message, and it'll be sent to me, and I'll go ahead and read it on the show. Or you can use the super chat feature on YouTube, right, to get those questions on the show. I will be taking the Patreon questions I get from my members, and once we gather enough questions, I'm going to be making that its own show in the future. So just want to let you guys know that whatever the Patreon offers now, it's always going to be evolving. We'll be trying to do more things for you guys. I do want to also let you guys know that on next Tuesday, I will be meeting up with the guys from Order on the Court, and that's Destin from Clan the Spurs Fan, Harrison from San Antonio Spurs Talk, and Maddie from Spurs Fan Blog. We have a channel over there called Order on the Court, and we do a lot of stuff over there. On next Tuesday is the NBA Draft Lottery, right? So next Tuesday is the NBA Draft Lottery, and we're going to be doing a watch party during the lottery so we can see exactly where the Spurs ping pong balls are going to fall. So just stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, check out the community page on my channel. I'll always be posting updates for you guys there. So, you know, if there's anything that you need to know about this channel and, you know, what's going on over here, I'll usually talk about it there on the community page on my YouTube channel. So go ahead and check that out as well. Reminder that on Wednesday, I'm going to have Rudy Campos Jr. on the show. Be talking to him about Spurs stuff, fantasy football stuff, his interviews with Bill Land and Sean Elliott the other day, and just kind of what he's got going on in the radio world over there in San Antonio. So thank you guys for hanging out. It's kind of a short one, 34 minutes. It wasn't that long of an episode. I got a crying baby over there. I don't know if you guys can hear him, but I got a crying baby on the other side of the house. So I need to go help the wife out, take care of that little guy. So really appreciate you guys, my international friends of Spurs Nation. Go ahead and drop a comment in the description below. Let me know where you're from. right? If you're from Texas, if you're from Canada, if you're from Australia, Thailand, wherever you're from, appreciate you guys hanging out. Subscribe to the channel, share it, look me up on Instagram. If you're listening to this on Apple, Spotify, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. If you're a podcast listener, the link's in the description below for Apple iTunes podcast and Spotify. So go ahead and check it out. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I will see you guys on Wednesday when I link up with Rudy Campos Jr. and we'll be here around 8:30. Just remember, you guys, remember 8:30. Hey, shout out Gresham, Oregon. What's up, Dion? Thanks for hanging out. Cody, Gregory, what's going on, guys? Brianna, Julian, appreciate you guys hanging out. All right, guys, I'll go ahead and see you guys on Wednesday. Go Spurs, go, baby.